Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, November 7th, 2022 Water and Sewer Commission monthly meeting. Bill Norton, Water and Sewer Superintendent, I'll be running the meeting. Mayor had some other obligations he had to care for, so he will not be joining us this afternoon. With that being said, we'll move ahead with the agenda. Anybody from the public here? Is there any public participation? I don't see anybody, so with that, we'll move ahead to billing issues. At this moment, I have none. So we'll go ahead and move forward to the resolutions. Approval of the minutes of October 3rd, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? We'll move on to the approval of the warrant. Any questions on the warrant?
So, the first one on page 11, the gravity belt sticker
Yes.
for $131,800. That was that project we're talking about.
From BDP, replacing the DAF, that's the first payment.
All right, Timmy.
That project, I did not get to talk to them today, but should starting shortly, where they open up the wall and take the DAF out, and then we'll start putting the equipment back into place. You made all the preparations, right, Chris? And you go ahead and start that project.
You got nothing else?
Good. I'll move it. Everybody's-
Any further discussion?
Second?
All in favor?
I guess.
We'll move on to the approval of the Wheelerberry contract. As corrected, whereas Imagine estimates 8,000 wet tons per year that month, will go out next year.
What's the environmental fee?
The environmental fee, if we understand it correctly, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, is both an insurance policy and fees for fuel and any kind of environmental fees that occur from the processing of the sewage sludge.
Oh, okay.
So
We are paying it now.
So they would absorb those? But, so we didn't have to worry about that?
No, that's part of our payment will be that.
Okay, so
So it is $100 a ton plus the 8%, so it's $108 a ton.
They did lock in for 3 years?
They locked in for 3 years, not at the 108 though, it was 108, then 100, and 115 with the $8, it would be 123, and then 125, which would go to 133. There's a slight increment with a 2-year extension at the end, or 1 year,
Right.
1 year, 2 1-year extensions if need be.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you. Next resolution, approval of DCK contract for 2023.
Personally was pleased with this slight increase,
Yeah, so a very small
all
increment.
things considering.
No,
That's his first, I think.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's first one also, I think.
he's held it for the last few years, he said, just with, as with everybody knows there's been price increases, with just about everything. I'm not even sure this will covers ink cartridges to make his reports. So,
Good.
with that, any questions?
Move it.
For a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next resolution is the approval for the emergency on Park Street to repair the sewer line. We've discussed this at past meetings and also saw the pictures of the completed project. It was a pretty tricky one, 14 feet deep, under a lot of different utilities. Originally, the National Grid utility main line, primary line was marked in the wrong location, so we're gonna make a little adjustment to that, so that ate up some of the time, things of that nature. So.
I actually expected it to be considerably more than this. I was
Well,
kinda
the original
surprised.
price that we had received was 48,000,
Yeah.
so.
It seemed like a 60 job. I would have thought in today's climate. I mean, this is
Could have
definitely
easily
not that.
been done sideways. I think Tom Krupicki did a pretty good job of getting the work accomplished.
Yeah.
His bill did come in a little higher than that, so we did a little negotiating back and forth, so, and we got it down to this point.
Our people were involved in it.
We did help
Well,
out with our VATCON, and also obviously, we supplied some valves, and we supplied some fittings, and some of the water pipe water pipe actually had to be cut out of the way so we could do it. So when he reinstalled the piece of pipe, we provided all the materials to do that, to save some money also.
Didn't we just do that a year ago, something?
Yep.
Well, there was another repair on that street, maybe, I wasn't here at the time, so I don't have a really firm grasp on it. I know it was in front of the Park Theater, right?
Yeah, that was a different building, different sewer service. A year or two ago was the theater, and this repair we're talking about now is on the corner of the Elm and Park. It's
Oh.
currently under renovation.
Okay. Gotta pay it.
Any other questions?
Second.
Sure.
Thank you. And final one of the resolutions, approval of proposed 2023 budget. I believe everybody's received their packets. We started this process back in June, looking at everything that we needed. They asked us to go ahead and throw everything and put in the kitchen sink in to see where we were. We came up with roughly a list of around 45 projects that we considered needed, but could dwindle down to what we could at least accept. We did that over the following few months. We came up with a budget, proposed budget with everything included. And I think when we looked at those numbers, we were looking at roughly a 45% increase in the sewer use fee. Only been here a year, and I'd like to stay a little longer, so we didn't push that one forward. So we looked at different things that we could do, and we dwindled it down to about a dozen items, making it about 8 items that we really do need, and I'll explain some of the other stuff that going forward we will need, and we'll probably look at some financing options of that, or the state and federal money available for those, but the immediate needs of the wastewater treatment plant, the water treatment plant, water distribution system, and the sewer collection system are all met by this budget without any kind of emergencies popping up. The 3 major costs escalated pieces in it are the electricity, the gas, and the biosolids that we just approved, the disposal of the biosolids. With that, I'll turn it over to Mike if he's got anything to add, or
No, that's
can answer
basically
any
it.
questions.
We've got the best estimates we've got in here, as far as insurance, long range, looking at electricity and things like that.
Well, that's gotta be kind of a guess.
Workers'
anyway.
comp, retirement.
Nobody knows where the utilities are headed, do they?
Well,
We know they're going up, that's the only place we know they're
yeah,
headed is.
we don't know exactly how much, but, heeding the warnings that we received, we wanted to anticipate, as much as we can. We've already gone to the fund balance this year
Yep.
to balance because
Yeah,
they've
we-
gone up this year from what our expectations were. That, those were the two areas that we voted on last month to increase. Those line items from the fund balance were for the electricity, the gas, and the biosolids, just in this existing budget in 2022. Now 2023, these are our best case estimates.
Is that sort of leave the fund balance in good shape, or is it starting to nip it again?
We've had to, because we had the sale of the leaf thing for the water thing, land, the water fund. We're able to take a pretty good chunk out of the fund balance of there comfortably for this year. That's a one-time deal.
Yeah.
Sewer fund was the primary fund is getting very low. We took 135 out of that, which is ordinarily we've been taking about $500,000, but we've been taking probably too much out. So we're trying to back that off and get the rate up higher where it should be for the long term. And we're
Okay.
using some more reconstruction than we've had for some targeted items
Is
on the
the-
sewer fund.
Did VACCON reach the end of its?
We've got 2
useful-
payments left this year and next year.
So it'll be shot then.
No, we should get another.
No, it should.
We've put in an additional 10,000 in a year to keep it running
Maintain it.
better than we did in the past.
Because they're starting to use it more and more and more.
Yep.
Yeah, we're using it both, obviously for sewer repairs and water repairs as a excavation unit.
We initially had 150 for Surico to kind of off balance some of the things, easier things to
That's
do
one
with
of
it,
the
but
things
that was whacked as well.
we cut out. That's just a high velocity jet truck,
Right.
not the SPAC. Tommy asked for that. There's one that's is it the 2000? I mean, it's like 1998 or something.
1995.
Oh, the
1995.
one that, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get through another year with that, but we'll probably look at replace that one next year.
That's been good service.
But like insurance costs came up 12% for our liability, our benefits 14%. There's been a lot of increases that we got factored into here that it's going to be tough year.
But, one of the major things we were looking at is, replacing our return activated sludge pumps, our AS pumps that are in dire need of it because they're obsolete. We can't get parts. We're down to 2 out of the 3 because we can't do anything with the 3. And once we go ahead and change those, then we have to change the piping, and
Is that budgeted?
that's in here.
Yep, that's the
We
other.
talked about that.
Yes, we did talk about that. That's one of the things that we wanted to do.
Hate to see us fall behind.
As Mike said, we got some revenue from the property sale. And we also got a little more revenue from timber sale that we didn't.
Right. So is this bump in the sewer, in the sludge haulers, is that gonna steer them someplace else, or you think they'll still come here? Are we low as far as the area?
I think right now we're low. Once we get to there, we'll be about the same as everyone else. Is that right, Chris?
I didn't hear the question.
The septic hauler's fee. Once we pump it up, we should be on.
Right now, everybody is 6 cents across the board. We're at 5 cents. I know fees are gonna go up in other places, but not this year. We took it up to 7 cents, which is 1 cent higher than everybody else. We are seeing a very large increase in septic hauling, so much so that we've had plant issues. So I've had to institute a rule of 30 minutes between trucks. There used to be 2,000-gallon trucks coming in, and we get about 10, 12. We saw 33 trucks in one day, and half of them were 4,000 to 5,000 gallons each. We cannot take that much septage, so we've had to slow things
What do you
down.
attribute that to?
Lake George shut down.
Oh, that's right, too. You
They
said
cannot
something.
take septage with the new system that they're operating. They can handle 5,000 gallons a day. And they were taking significantly more in the past. So the 30-minute rule, the haulers don't like it, but the plant is operational and we're able to maintain where we're at. If we open it back up again, we won't be able to control the process. So I'm just letting it go. And that 33 trucks was in 8 hours. Whatever comes in between 8 and 4.
Wow.
And also, even with a 1 cent increase, or our going up 2 cents, 1 cent's more than anybody else, it's going to be counteracted by their fuel costs.
Yeah,
Between the fuel costs, and not just theirs, our fuel costs, and our increase in hauling and tipping fees to the Millbrae. Because septic
Yeah.
is 10 times the concentration of sewage. So we will have to dispose of that too. So we decided to go off of that.
Well, I got it.
Okay, and if there's no other questions? No motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Just one quick question on that. These fees that were in here, the sewer and water fees, the taps, and those were, we approved those, didn't we, a couple months ago or so? Or these the same ones we looked at? They haven't changed yet.
I don't
No, the
think
other
so.
thing we changed is the capital charges to reflect the new reassessment.
Right,
That went
right,
through.
right,
That was
yeah.
the only charge we meant, just so it would keep apples and apples together.
With that said, I'd just like to thank everybody that had, helped out with the budget. Mike was great. Sheila, Chris, Jeremy, Christian, Tom, they were all great. And we brought, like I said, we brought all the department heads in, starting back in June, looked at everything we could do, and tried to formulate this budget as best we could. So, Mike was instrumental in cooking all the numbers and making sure that we got to where we needed to go. So,
And not everything on here that's crossed off is gonna have to be done at some point in time.
these are the final warnings as Mike is heading out the door, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you all for that. With that, we'll move forward for discussion. AT&T, I'll go through the pictures at the end after we do all discussions, and I'll walk through them all. But I don't know if anybody noticed driving up and down the Northway or over by the mall, there's a big man working, you can see guys working up there. So they're just about, I would say, about 75% complete. We're almost got everything done. So they're moving forward. Hopefully, they've been very fortunate, the weather's been great.
Yeah.
So when I look at them going up in that man, I'm saying, I'm not doing that.
But don't you have to inspect that?
Not me. So, they're moving ahead, hopefully they'll be completed in the next couple weeks, and, that should be it. So, and that money is reflected in this year's
I
budget.
know, not to mention, be redundant, we didn't put anything from Monroe in.
I think there was.
No, there's no addition, nothing.
No way to
No,
anticipate.
because we didn't want to.
No. I was asked to do that 4 or 5 years ago,
I think
and I
most
still
of it
haven't
was-
seen any yet. So.
So, anybody that's come into the treatment plant over the last month has seen James Goldsmith work and how it's progressing. I'll let Jeremy to speak to that a little bit. He's been in touch with Ed Shule and a couple of things.
Yeah, so, yeah, like Bill said, I think that started 3, maybe 4 weeks ago with the directional drilling underneath Warren Street.
How'd that go?
Well, we were nervous for a couple of days, but I think they got through it and got underneath all the existing utilities without any conflicts or
Yeah.
running into anything they shouldn't.
No
have.
leaks, is it?
So, no leaks that we're aware of. So that work is done. They did some conventional installation up Gear Street. I think they're still waiting on their permits from the railroad. So they haven't gone on the railroad up there. And now, as you see, they're back on Shermantown. They've installed a couple hundred feet of pipe and a few structures. They've got a few weeks to go, I think, before they make it to the bottom of the hill. We're closely watching the forecast here because at the end, we want to make sure that this road is patched in with hot mix for plowing season. So they're on notice that we've got to be communicating with the blacktop plants to make sure that hot mix is still available before we run out of time.
Are they working under a schedule?
I'm sorry?
Besides the asphalt plant, are they working on some kind of a schedule between them and Ames?
No,
It's not our problem, but.
yeah, it's not our problem. I think ideally, Ames would like to be hooked up as soon as possible.
Not sure, yeah.
I'm not sure what a realistic date is for that. I'd say end of the year at best. But once they get out of the road, they start working inside the fence here around the perimeter. Temperature's not so much of a
Yeah.
sensitive matter. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on them and hopefully by the workshop or at the bottom of the hill here.
Thanks, Darren.
And I think David and Bill and I still have to have some conversations about that maintenance and ownership agreement with Ames.
Yeah, I think we cleared that
Oh, we did?
up. So they were concerned about the city being able to unilaterally cancel the contract without cause. So I guess it's, if Ames goes belly up or discontinues use, I had kind of what we had done before, the city taking ownership of that. I don't know if there's another use for it to the city, but it doesn't seem to make sense for the city not, at least in my mind, for the city not to own it, because you don't want anybody else hooking up to it. I mean, you could always convey it to somebody else, but it's entirely up to you guys on what to do with that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think we can have a discussion about that. My only concern is I'm not sure that I ever really want to own that, because number one, it's not our line, and number two, I don't want to be responsible for repairing it if something happens to it.
Well, you wouldn't ever have to repair it if nobody's using it. It could fall into complete disrepair and you could discontinue it. So I think the issue, and you guys would know this better than me, what are the chances of it, the city ever needing that for another use? If the answer is never, then the city doesn't want to own it ever. So guys, give that some thought and just shoot me an email.
Okay.
Because, like, again, if the city is never going to have a legitimate use for that, you wouldn't want to own it.
Okay.
What would be the negatives to owning it? I mean, if you own it, at least you have control of the whole thing, other than. I mean,
Exactly. I mean, again, that's
shouldn't need any maintenance, I don't suspect, maybe, I don't know.
Was there any long-term, like, environmental thing? You know, GE was taking trucks out into the woods in the 70s and dumping off PCBs, and then whoops, those are bad.
No.
No, I know that's not going through it, but if there's any future discovery of who's going to clean this up and we own it.
No, because it's all coming down here. I mean, there wouldn't be any residuals left in the pipes. You know, that would be all flushed out and empty. You know, the issue is then there's the pipe in the ground, and who wants to own it? I mean, you know, presumably if somebody else bought Ames's facility, they would work a deal with the city if they had any direct discharge and wanted to use that line. But the way we have it is if Ames discontinues, then that pipe can't be used by anybody without permission of the city. Because you don't know what they're going to put through it, and they'll interfere in the process down here. So the city has to have control over that. Other than that, the contracts are all set.
We'll have that discussion, and we'll go ahead and finalize that hopefully, and we'll be all set with that aspect. Final item under discussion is the hydrant flush program. We did that the third and fourth week of October. It went fairly smoothly. In the beginning, we seemed to get a lot of complaints of discoloration. Usually you get a reddish tinge discoloration. People would complain that this was actually black and was lasting a little longer than normal. So, and during our flushing, some of the guys had noticed it coming out of the hydrants also. And what we believe it is the fact that we changed our sequestrant, which locks up all the iron in the water and coats the pipes, so we don't have any degradation within the pipes. So, like the first couple days, we had that issue, and then after that, we didn't have any other really calls. So, Adam's maintained a list of those properties. So, back in the spring, because we do this program in spring and fall, we'll go ahead and notify the people that had the issues before, that we're going to go ahead and establish the flushing program again, and then move ahead with that, and make them aware before we do it, so that if they have to make any kind of arrangements, they can, and then they can also let us know if it's still the same as it was this time, or it cleared just because we changed the question. We changed it because we believe we went to a better one and a little less expensive too, so.
So if it changed the solutions, maybe it won't happen again?
Hopefully,
Okay.
hopefully. This was probably one sequestrian just to, taking the place of the other one, so it may have been some of the stuff coming off of the inside of the pipe. So, and again, we didn't see it everywhere, and it was just seemed to happen in the initial flush. So, in the first few days, we did get more calls than what we have in the past. So we'll see how we go on moving forward, but we did keep a list of where they were coming from, who was affected. As long as they left their name and address, and not just called up and yelled at us.
I had quite a few calls too. I didn't know that many people knew I was on the commission. It's like, hey, call the plant, and then everybody gets bashful all of a sudden. So yeah.
No, but it went. Other than the first initial 2-3 days, after that it seemed to just. And we did put out notices on the website and through all the media. So I will continue to do that. Any questions on it?
Nope.
I do not have any personnel issues. I have no items for an executive session. I don't know if David does.
Nothing?
With that, let me just go through these pictures quick. So you can see this is part of the primary tank project. You can see at the end there, you can see that all that dust line up. That's part of the sandblasting. Everything was sandblasted. We did go through and look at a couple things. We did notice from the contractor that they did miss several spots and a couple different things, so we're negotiating with them because they're already full, so I have to go back now. So we'll look at what we can do there. This is the Butler Pond intake. They were cleaning it out, and one of the major items we were looking to get done this year that's been pushed is redoing 2 out of the 3 intakes to goodnight, because you can see how, if you can look closely, it's starting to crack and some of the pieces are starting to fail. We're starting to see some of the mesh underneath. So, and then this is one of the ones we took down so that the contractor could get in, do some measurements and take a look at it. This is, the other 2, I don't know if you remember the pictures that I showed, actually have cans in the middle. This one's screen is actually built right into the wall. You can see how it's like a half moon screen. So we check that. That's the bridge. I don't know if anybody saw it, fully completed with all of the rails on it and stuff over the pond that Warren County Water and Sewer did along with BOCES. Did a really good job. Came out really nice. This is the side of the fence. That's one of the water tanks. This is part of where they went on the outside of the tanks where they put the conduits in. This is where the conduits are laying right now is on the inside. They put them in on the outside. That's the trench. This is the back where they put the pad. You can see this is the pad that they put with all their equipment. That's on the ground. This is a generator on the right-hand side. You can see them working up on the tank on the left. So, not me. They're going up in the man lift. This is the Halfway Brook pump house. That's where our screen is. So you can see we went down to inspect the screen. We had the fire department help us out. They lowered us down they lowered Jason down about 30 feet. So we're getting all geared up. And started to lower them down. The winch was on the truck. This is a repair for an ASCO on Cooper Street, a hydrant. We had to go to another vendor. You can see how the top nut is stripped, so you couldn't even get a wrench on it. You really had to do it with a pipe wrench. we had to go to another vendor because all of ours are hydrants are Mueller hydrants. Back in March, we ordered 3, we still hadn't seen them. They said it was 8 months, now it's in the longer than that. So we went to another vendor and we were able to get some hydrants that we were able to put in. You can see it up there, they're still working on that. And that's one of the new American hydrants. That's how the job that was completed. The reason we looked at the halfway brook screen is this guy showed up in one of our water filters.
Oh.
He got through the pump at halfway brook, he got through one of the lifts, and so that's why we looked at it. And now you can, the screen is intact, but the cement holding the screen where the water runs through, there's several holes like that. So we're looking at doing a quick repair on that, maybe with some sheet metal around it, so that we can pound it into place and leave it like that until we can do a complete repair at some point. That's the last picture.
Cool.
I think it's always nice to see. It's a little better when you see it than me just explaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
The next proposed meeting dates, the water and sewer workshop is November 21st, Monday, November 21st. The regular water and sewer budget board meeting is already December 5th. We're already starting December.
Wow.
So, how time flies when you're having fun. And obviously both going to be here. So, with that, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Right.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and I will see you before Thanksgiving, so I will wish you a happy turkey day.